Yo, what's good, man? Collab Gem, let's go.
We're going already?
Yeah, we're going already. Play the intro. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Collab Gem. It's your boy, the Plan Beats.
And Darrell Banks.
Yeah, boy. Another week.
Yeah.
How you been, man?
Been all right. How about yourself?
All good, all good. Actually been doing well. Have had a couple of weird weeks, maybe a month actually, dealing with some personal stuff, but
Yeah.
been doing well, So,
That's good.
yeah, man.
Because you're usually terrible.
Yeah, I'm usually terrible. But it is good, and it falls on the topic that I wanted to bring out today, which I guess is mainly like mental health in general. Because I'm saying, I've been having a weird couple of weeks. But when you turn around and you start feeling like yourself again, and you start feeling like happy and positive and all that, it really changes the way you start viewing stuff again. Because as a producer and as a creative, like being mentally exhausted by whatever reason it may be, it really affects your creative side of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So you don't have the patience to make music. Even if you do, like you feel like nothing's worth like listening to, and you're just in that.
No, I understand. I definitely understand that.
Bro, that's how it's been for a while. But I wanted to give out my thoughts on it, because it has been sort of ongoing thing back and forth of being well and not well in terms of like the creative space.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to get like your insight on it, because even though we're both creatives and we're both music producers, we not only do we have different ways of dealing with stuff like everyone does, but we also live in different spaces where, like, not only geologically but even like obviously, but like
no duh.
no doy. No, but I mean in the difference of you being a freelancer in the way of you do your own thing, and me having an actual job.
Yeah, I'm just free.
And so I wanted to see if you ever went through those types of phases. I'm sure you have, but how those types of experiences are for you, of like feeling burnt out and like just not in the creative space mentally.
Yeah, that shit is fucking tough when I get there. I mean, I haven't been there in a little while, but yeah, where should we start tackling that? Like talking about it?
I guess what takes you, or what leads you down the path of actually feeling burnt out? Because before I got my job as a designer, I would go back and forth between making music and making designs for people or even myself, because it felt like one was the solution for the other whenever one started becoming a problem of me being mentally blocked. And this was like both a creative block and just a mental issue at some point, because if you have problems in general going on and you're just trying to not focus on them, it's really hard when it comes to a creative mindset. So what leads you down to feeling burnt out on your end?
I can say for me, what leaves me being burnt out or getting to that point is I'm the type of person who takes too much on at one time instead of just taking one thing at a time and completing it and finishing it. I like to have my hands in too many things at one time, and that is what usually leads me down that road of feeling burnt out, because then I have too many things to get done at once. So yeah, that's usually what burns me out for the most part.
I can relate to that. I'm kind of the same.
Yeah, because you're kind of the same way. You like to do a lot of things at once.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if you figured out why that is, but personally, like, I don't know if it's because I like to keep busy. I don't know if it's because just having different projects excites me.
I think that's probably, it could be the case, because I'm that way. Like starting up new things and doing different stuff gets me in that excited mode. I'm like, oh man, I'm ready to tackle this. I'm ready to go ham. And then I have 50 projects and I'm like, damn, I haven't done what I need to do. And then that deadline starts approaching and he's like, oh man.
But see, doesn't it end up going full circle of where you start a project, you get super excited, And you repeat this process over and over again until you're overlapping a lot of different projects. And then you start getting stressed and getting like to a point of where you don't know which way to look, because everywhere you look into, there's like a different project that you should be working on or finishing or anything. And you might even get to a point, I know this happens to me a lot, of me getting to a point of there are so many projects I need to get to. They're all sort of on the same sphere of deadlines, so to say. And I end up like feeling this amount of self-pressure where I just end up not doing squat a lot of the times.
Right.
You know, do you feel that happens to you?
Yeah, for sure. But the thing is trying to find a way to break that cycle of putting myself in that position to not have to keep going through that. That's a hard thing that I'm trying to learn now.
Do you feel like you made any progress in that direction?
Yeah, I could say to some degree, because like I was talking about that feeling of excitement of starting up things, but I also have the bad habit of saying yes to things that I shouldn't say yes to when I really don't want to do
like
it.
This podcast.
No, I'm happy about the podcast, but other things, because I genuinely want to help people out. So I will sometimes say yes when I really should say no. But I say as far as that, yeah, I've made some progress of turning things down so that I won't have too much more on my plate when it comes to that aspect.
Yeah, I do feel you on that. But you will still be in the space of actually accepting those projects in.
Yeah, if it's something that I really want to do, yeah.
Because see, to me, the way I've been trying to go about is I'll still jump on the project, but I'll try to better level them in like hierarchy importance. Not really importance, but like, you know, like I gotta get to this before I get to that.
Right, yeah.
So currently we're working on our EP and I have my own EP.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's something for myself that I still kind of want to figure out the direction of, I'm leaving that more on the back end and focusing on ours because it feels like it's more important, so to say.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
That's the way I've went about. But I feel like definitely the way to go would be to simply not go into so many different projects at once because it becomes so overwhelming.
Yeah, it totally does. Especially when it's things that it wouldn't be to me so overwhelming if it's something that doesn't really need to be done quickly. You know, that doesn't really have a deadline, but it's really overwhelming when you take on too many things that really need to be done urgently. At
least for me, and we talked about this before, but I get this self-created pressure of even if I don't have a set deadline for this, because most of the projects I'm working on don't have a set deadline. It's like maybe the sooner the better, but whatever it is. But it just piles on so much stuff at once that I kind of want to get everything done as quickly as possible to get it off my plate.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. Fucking them self-imposed viewpoints are so damaging.
Exactly.
We get so all in our heads and put all these stipulations and we want to get this done fast, and when it doesn't have like a set deadline, it's not like super important. It's stupid that we do that to ourselves.
And it ends up messing things up because something that could take a while to make and be properly done ends up being so rushed over.
Yeah.
Because of these self-imposed restrictions and pressures and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really no reason for that. The way we're working on our EP is we're taking it slow. We're tackling different fronts in different ways. We're looking into what we can do for each side to improve it. And we're not rushing into it. We're not just making the beats and then dropping it whenever.
Yeah.
And we didn't go through that route with the previous two EPs. And I don't have really any regrets about them, although maybe we could have marketed them better.
Oh, yeah, we should have.
But we definitely didn't take our time with them as we probably should have.
Very true. That's why this one's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially with everything we have planned.
Yeah. So it really comes down to not rushing over to things and think things through. And if you have stuff with deadlines, get to those first. And if you don't, just work it out with everything. Because right now, what do you have going on? Because you have the podcast, you have your daily beats.
Yeah, the podcast, daily beats. I did get one thing off my plate, which was a reliever. We'll see how that goes because I sent it out, but I'm waiting to hear back on it. Drum sample related stuff. So I got that done, so I don't have to worry about that no more. Did we mention the EP thing on my end? That's still something that I got to work on my end. But yeah, I think that's about it right now, at this moment. That's why I'm cool. I feel good right now. I don't feel no type of burnout or nothing bad. Like I feel it's manageable. I'm in a spot where I don't have too many things going on.
But that's recent though, because you just took a project off your hands.
Yeah.
So how do you work your way around like getting to everything? Because you also work out. You also have a personal life that we all try to like have.
Oh, I have no personal life.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
So obviously there's a lot of different things even outside of music and the creative end that you need to balance with.
Yeah, it's a fucking mess for me. Just to be honest, it's a mess. I don't have no type of, even that's the funny thing is I'm disciplined on making sure I do certain things, but I'm not disciplined as far as having the proper time setting for things. I wish I could be one of those people who has time slots, like from this time to this time, I'm going to work out, or from this time to this time, I'm going to just strictly focus on editing the podcast, or this time. I'm not one of those people. I just, whenever I feel that need to do it, or I feel good to do it, then I'm going to do it at that time. But I don't keep a certain schedule for shit, which is terrible for me.
I mean, you're not the only one. And I found like after a lot of introspection, I found that maybe the reason behind not being able to fully time manage yourself is lack of accountability.
I feel attacked.
No, I'm not.
I'm kidding.
I'm not talking about you specifically, but at least for me, that's what I feel like it might be. Because when it comes to work, obviously I have like 8 hours of the day that I have to dedicate only for work, and there's no distractions. That's what I'm paid to do, and I work that time. And when it comes to that, my time management is as best as I could have ever hoped. I get shit done. I can fit like tasks in the shortest amount of time possible, even big tasks. And I never really put much thought into it because I like my job. I'm doing something that I love. The environment is amazing, even though we're working like at home via computer. But everything is positive. But I think that the thing that actually leads me to be so nitpicky about my time and making sure that I can fit everything like as well as possible is accountability. So if I don't get a task done, everyone on the team might get issues because of it. If I fuck up my job, obviously my neck is on the line.
No, I totally see what you're saying. Yeah, when it comes to having a job, you pretty much have no choice but to be accountable.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're done.
Exactly. And there's actually people who are managing you, and it's just how it goes. It's a job. But when you're on your own, you're your own manager, you're your own CEO. You're the only person who can say you fucked up or you did great, and you need this by that. So all of a sudden there's like, and I don't know exactly, because that's a very personal mindset that you need to create of holding yourself accountable. And that's something that you hear a lot of people just saying that you need to hold yourself accountable. And I agree, but it's very tough to get into that type of mindset.
Right.
Because if you miss a workout today, you're probably going to think, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. And there's not necessarily an issue with that. Sometimes life happens and you got to move stuff around. But you're not really like getting any type of backlash from your decisions in that scenario.
But see, that's one thing I could at least say on my end is I hold myself accountable to make sure that I get things done. I just don't have time specific measurements to fit those things in. I still hold myself accountable to that.
How do you hold yourself accountable?
That's a good question.
Because there's a difference between beating yourself up for not doing something that you should have.
Oh, no, I never beat myself up. That's fucking just stupid and unhealthy.
I'm not saying that's what you do. I'm just saying that there's a difference between that and... So what do you do to actually hold yourself accountable? I didn't work out yesterday. I'm going to work twice as hard today.
How can I put this? I wouldn't even do that. Like, I make sure that as far as like working out, for example, I'm going to do it every fucking day. I'm not... Well, there are times where it's just not going to happen, and that's okay. But I'm making sure that I'm getting it done because I know if I don't do it where that path is going to lead, So that's like my mental thinking to keep me doing it. I'm not just gonna just fall off the wagon.
So you feel like if you don't do it today when you should have, you'll possibly get yourself in a position,
I know the repercussions.
meaning of probably make that a habit.
Right.
Okay.
So I look forward as if I don't do this, what's going to be the repercussions of it? And I don't want to go down that road, so I make sure that I get it done whether I feel like it or not.
And does it ever feel like, because there's also like there's also that gray area between doing something that you want to and something that you have to. And so obviously keeping up with the working out example, it's something that I personally like to work out, but it is tough to keep that routine because it tires you out. There's the whole shebang of actually exercising. It's never only the workout time that it takes you from the day, because then you have to get ready before and after.
Yeah.
Where do you find yourself in the gray area of it being something that you want to do and now it became a chore, or something that you feel like you should do and therefore you keep that type of discipline? You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, honestly, sometimes it does feel like a chore, but I know that it's something that I should do. So, but it's not always fun. It's not always something that I want to go out and do. But
And do you find yourself in that position with projects, with creative projects?
oh yeah, definitely, yeah, for sure. A lot of stuff I feel like, I really don't want to do it, but it's got to get done. It's not fun no more.
Yeah, exactly. That's the worst part, is when you start something that hypes you up and then it's not fun no more.
Yeah, but that also comes to where it's not fun, but you have to find ways to make it fun and make it enjoyable again.
And do you have some type of, I guess there's not really a general idea for that or a general suggestion for that, but is there something that you implement regularly in those cases?
Yeah, I try to switch things up as much as possible. Like, for example, editing the podcast, starting this has been fun. Just being transparent, it's been fun. Doing the editing is horrible. It's horrendous. It sucks. But the strategy I've implemented to make it more interesting is put music in the background.
Okay.
And just try to zone out. And so it's like I'm doing two things at once. I'm editing. There's something that I have to do. It's got to get done, whether I like it or not. But I'm also taking in music at the same time, which is something I enjoy doing regardless. So I can find new artists. I can listen to different music. I can get different ideas so that when I get to making beats, it can, I have inspiration.
Okay.
So I'm doing two things at one time. So it keeps it more interesting.
You're listening to the podcast and actual rappers at the same time?
Yeah.
No wonder this is poorly edited. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't do it all the time. I typically do like beat tapes or stuff, like stuff like that. So it gives me inspiration on different ideas and music wise. But there are times where I will listen to stuff with vocals too.
That's always a weird spot, because I feel the same. Like if I'm making any type of tedious task fun with music on the background, and a lot of people do this, and they even do it with podcasts as well, like ours, Collab Gem. But it sucks when you want to listen to a certain artist, but the test that you're doing, you actually have to understand what's happening. And so you can't
focus on it. Yeah, like you want to.
Yeah, you got to listen to an instrumental and not an actual like singer or anything, because you're just editing this podcast and listening to lyrics, and all of a sudden we're doing some Slim Shady stuff in the middle of the podcast and we don't know how.
So let me ask you though, with your work, doing a 9-to-5 thing, I know that has to some degree get boring and tedious because it's creative. So you're using your creative muscle to do stuff. So is there a way that you find to help break up the monotony or burnout or?
Yeah, it is really a tough question, because until 2 years ago, I was just like you. I was basically freelancing, and like I mentioned, if I'm feeling creatively blocked with music, my answer ends up being design, and vice versa. If I'm feeling creatively blocked with design, my answer is music.
Right.
Because I feel like having two different creative outlets helps you unblock from each other. But when I started working, obviously not at the start, because it was very exciting. It was a lot different in a lot of ways. But you ever felt that difference between wanting to make music and having to make music?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So I still get on my 9 to 5 and I'm more than happy about it. Wouldn't change anything about it. But obviously, when you're forcing your creative muscle every single day and a lot of the tasks,
It's tiring, right?
it gets tiring and it gets, because again, if you're doing something that's very technical, it's easier. It's not easier per se, but you can go through it of like doing the task. But if you're forcing yourself to be creative so much, so regularly,
Mm-hmm.
there comes to a point where you hit a lot more creative blocks of like, fuck, what do I do here? And it has been an issue sometimes. I still try to force myself into it because the visual aspect of it helps me unblock more easily than like music does. So if I'm feeling creatively blocked with music, it's harder for me to get out of that space than it is with design.
Okay.
Because I've always been more visual about it than like with my hearing and all that. So it is definitely a challenge, but it's easier for me being design. I think that if it were for music, I would probably be a lot more screwed, even though I consider myself more of a music producer. But yeah, in terms of time management, it's just tough.
Right.
It's tough because, again, you're doing the 9 to 5, you're being creative all day, and then the idea is for getting out of your 9 to 5 and be creative again.
Right. The good thing I could say about at least the 9 to 5 thing is that from this time you're going to be doing this.
Oh, 100%.
So your slot is filled. That's filled. But everything after that is where you got to try to find where you're going to fit everything else at.
Yeah.
And make time to do that. That's the tough part.
That's what's been the toughest for me. Like I still live with my parents and they know that I work, and that's a lot of time. They know that I need to be working. Everyone knows that I need to be working. Nobody really bothers me. And my parents are even a huge help with that. After the 9 to 5, even if I have projects, I'm pretty much free. So it's not that I consider myself to be free in the sense of, well, now I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's more of the sense of imposing that not only to yourself, but to others, So I'll finish work and then I have to get to helping around the house, take care of the dog. I also have to work out because I want to work out and I want to still be in shape since I have to spend so much time in a chair and just be somewhat active. And obviously, since from those 8 hours, I'm just focused on the screen. I also want to like interact with actual human beings, I want to go out with friends. I want to.
You don't want to feel like a robot.
Yeah, exactly. I want to feel like I have a life beyond the screen.
I want to feel like a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to be a real boy. Geppetto, I want to be a real boy. Obviously, it ends up affecting the mindset of going from one job to the other. Because as music producers, this is also our job. It might be our passion, it might be what we love, but it's our job.
Yeah, it is.
And it's tough to mingle with everything. If I could, my solution would probably be just to hold myself more accountable, because I end up making excuses throughout the day. I finish work, I'll work out. I'll be like, well, today I worked out. I had to take care of some personal stuff and all that. I'll take care of the music side of shit tomorrow. And then something comes up.
Yeah, that's always a detrimental thing. Whenever you get into that self-talk of, I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Guess what, motherfucker? Tomorrow's going to come and then you're going to say tomorrow, I'm going to take care of it the day after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's tough to get out of that mindset. I wasn't like this before. I was pretty much like you, where I was very disciplined of like, I need to do these things, I'm going to do them. If stuff gets in the way, I'm going to still do them this day, even if I have to go to bed late. But the thing is, personally, I don't function well if I have few hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And creatively, if I'm mentally exhausted, creatively, I'm not going to be able to perform as well on a 9 to 5. Because I'll start getting on my computer, I'll start working, I'll be okay, and then the tiredness will start kicking in. And I don't have an active job. So
Hey man, that's where you gotta pop some energy pills. You gotta do some coffee, man.
But that's the point where you start you need to be active. And I know of people who like got standing desks. Some people even work with like treadmills to walk while they work. I mean, it feels kind of weird, but honestly, it might really be the way to go sometimes.
Nah, I agree. I could get behind the standing desk. The treadmill thing, no. Just work out. Come on, man.
Making music while standing, there's a different vibe to it. I don't know what it is.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Nah, it's a good thing.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. There was a time where I had my keyboard set up in a way of where I'd have to stand.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I don't know what it was. It just gave it a different vibe. And I think I've seen other producers say the same thing. I don't know what it is. But it is tough to find the balance between everything. And I think that in the end, you just need to be able to hold yourself accountable, which is what everyone says. The tough part is actually understanding how to do so. Because I know that if I miss my workout today and move it to tomorrow, it'll end up messing up my whole week, whatever. But how do you make that be such a factor that actually affects you to push through and do it, Because you can think...
Right. I gotta say, I think personally, now that we're talking about it, the best thing to hold you accountable is another person and not yourself.
I agree. I 100% agree.
Because when you have somebody else that you don't want to let down, and you know that if you don't do what you have to do, it's going to let this person down and affect, beyond yourself. When it's just yourself, we're always capable of letting ourselves down. We're fine with that anytime.
Yeah.
Right? But when it comes to letting somebody down that you care about, then...
But see, that's what I agree with you, and I hate that I agree with you. Because I feel like you should be sad about disappointing yourself.
Right. That's absolutely true, though. That's absolutely true.
You shouldn't have to depend on having someone else as a factor to you progressing.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, mentally, that helps more than you holding yourself accountable and not having anyone on the side. My issue is getting to a point where you don't have to think of disappointing someone else. You just have to think about disappointing yourself. And there's a lot of reasonings behind of what you could do, of where I'm not going to work out today. It means I'm going to work out tomorrow. If I'm working out tomorrow, I have to reschedule my whole week. That means that my whole... Yeah. You have to create, at least myself, I end up creating this whole...
scenario.
Yeah, like this whole picture, huge web of issues that arise from that particular thing. And it sometimes helps. But I'm a very organized person. And when something isn't organized, it just fucks with my head for the whole day.
Yeah.
And that's why I try not to nitpick about the small things. Just let them be. But it's hard when it's the bigger ones.
Can we veer for a second? I mean, it's still related to what we're talking about, but I just want to ask personally, because it's something that I suck dealing with. It's like time management stuff. As far as focusing outside of work, because that's something that you have to do. That's your job. But when it comes to doing other things that are music related or just creative related, how do you go about focusing on that task? Like, are you just a person that just sits down and says, okay, I'm going to do this, and just focuses on it until it gets done? Or do you break it up in segments? Or
I used to be the kind of person that would sit down and focus on it for 2-3 hours, whatever time I had. Nowadays, I feel like I fragment stuff a lot more than I used to. So if I need to do, let's say, the clips for the podcast to promote on socials, I'll edit, I'll take out the clips from the full podcast. Then I'll take a break. Then I'll jump to making the graphics of it. Then I'll take a break. Then I'll actually do the videos and all that and render them all, add them to whatever folder, and then I'm done. Before, I would just do it all in one sitting. Because it's not that much, but it becomes somewhat easier to take breaks in between. I think you actually brought out a technique the other day on a conversation of ours, personal conversation.
Yeah, the Pomodoro Technique.
Yeah, and so... Can you explain more or less what that's about?
Yeah, it's basically where you work for 25 minutes straight and then take a 5-minute break. And then you repeat that process 4 times, and then you take a longer 15-minute break. That's the general idea.
That's more or less what I do. The thing is, I take longer breaks than I probably should. And I also don't focus for so little time. Because if you're doing 25 minutes, that's barely anything to actually focus on a text, at least in my opinion. Or maybe it's just on the creative end. Like 25 minutes, I'm opening up Machine, I'm adding the samples to the drum pads, and then I gotta take a break. With music, I get more in the groove. If I'm feeling inspired, I get more in the groove, and I can get 2 hours straight without taking a break. But if I'm doing 25 minutes, then break, then 25, I won't get anything done, because 25 minutes is more or less the time that I need to actually start getting focused on the task and getting into it.
Yeah, it's like warming up pretty much.
Yeah.
I asked about that because I've been trying that technique, and I have to agree with you, honestly. I'm better at taking more time to really get in. That's like warm up. Just setting 25 minutes, I'm still kind of scatterbrained at that time. It's not enough time for me to really zone in and focus on getting something done.
Yeah, exactly. But do you do things like all in one sitting, or do you also like take breaks in between?
Hell no. I take too many breaks. That's my problem.
Yeah, so it's the same.
I don't know. I feel like I have ADHD or something, man.
Bro.
It's like I focus on something for so long, and then I start to almost zone out of the task. And it's hard for me to get back into it. It's like, oh man, then I might, you know what? Let me go back to this beat that I was working on. Then I'll switch to something else, and then switch to something else, and it's too much all over the place.
Bro, just today I went through that, and I actually, like, I know I don't have ADHD, but I actually, like, for a second it popped into my mind, like, do I maybe? Because I was working on something for the podcast. Suddenly I switched it up because I had to work out, and so I went to look for some workout exercises. And I don't know how it came to be. I think I looked at my phone. I started scrolling through social media. I saw an ad for something, and then my mind went to the ad. So all of a sudden, I went from podcast to an ad. And when I got to that website, I was looking at it, and I was like, "Bro, how did I get here? This was not the point." So yeah, I do completely understand what you mean. But I also feel like we also have a lot more distractions too, because like, before, just like 10 years ago or something like that, social media wasn't popping the way it is. Like, smartphones weren't really a thing.
True.
10 years ago, they were probably start to become a thing. But if you wanted to go on Facebook and all that, you'd probably just check it at home. You weren't completely fixated on your phone for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is. And so now you have this whole world at the palm of your hands, which is great, but it's also very negative in the sense of it's a huge distraction for you. I find myself picking up the phone, not really I have like 3 apps that I actually use regularly. I have a bunch of apps on the phone, but only 3 that I actually open. And I end up seeing myself opening an app and immediately closing because I thought, I just checked this. Why am I opening this? Why am I going to the phone and picking it up?
Oh, yeah.
It became this type of tick, I just have to.
Yeah, I think they're training us to be stupid or something, man. Because you're absolutely right. Years ago, there was none of this social media and smartphone shit, and now you can't stop picking up your phone. And see, one thing about me, I have to get to this point of cutting off my phones to get work done. But it sucks for me because I like having like background stuff going on. It's weird as it's to say, you know how some people have their TVs playing in the background while they do stuff. I'm like that type of person, but it's easy to, like you said, go into that rabbit hole and you're doing a podcast and end up on an ad somewhere, end up into something else that you shouldn't even be into.
Yeah. But see, that's also, I don't use it as like background noise, because to me that's Spotify, or I'll even sometimes just get a weird, like one of those shows on Netflix and have it play on the background. My reasoning for the phone is that's my way of communicating with most people, be it you, be it friends of mine from Portugal. And so it's my way of staying connected and also staying on top of my own business. So if there's something music related that I need to get to, all of a sudden, like the phone is there.
Yeah.
I can take care of it and it's done. And it's hard to run a business while you're already working, but it's hard to run a business and you're not even connected to the business. You just disregarded it completely. So there's come a lot of times where I just wanted to disconnect the phone, just turn it off and maybe turn it back on like at the end of the day, possibly. And this might be self-imposed, or maybe you agree with me, maybe more people agree with me.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I can't really do that because I'll end up possibly missing on like sales.
On somebody saying hi. That's probably going to be the reality, though.
It's probably going to be the reality. Like there's no real issue of me just turning off the phone and turning it back on before I go to bed. But I like to stay in touch with people. So I have friends I want to talk to. I want to see what's going on. Then the time zones don't help. because I know that if I want to talk to you, I need to do so between a certain period of time. Otherwise, I won't pick up on you. And then there's these projects that you have going on. And let's say that you need files from me for something and you need it ASAP. It rarely happens, but let's say that happens. All of a sudden I'm off the grid. I'll reach you like 5 hours afterwards, and in the meanwhile, like some shit.
But man, that could be a whole different topic of expectations and how the social media shit has bred everything needs to be done fast and instantly, and if you're not on it, then what's wrong with you?
But it's completely psychological.
Oh, totally.
I know that if I turn off my phone, but then I don't know, maybe we're just addicts.
Yeah.
We became these types of addicts of like, we just have to be on the phone. We have to be connected. We have to,
Yeah, I got to agree with that. We are addicts of phones.
Yeah. And I really want to get to a point where I can just disconnect. And it's also not easy because I may be able to turn off my phone, but I still want to listen to music. And if I'm not, no. Listen, if I want to be outside of my computer, my phone is the only place where I listen to music to. So now I might need to get a new source of how to listen to Spotify outside of the computer, but also not using my phone.
Yeah.
So it's time to get an MP3, something like that,
It's time to get a fucking radio, dude.
Just tune in
We
to
forgot
whatever.
all about those.
Yeah. Maybe it's just an excuse, but it ends up being the way of thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
But luckily, a lot of things are automated, especially
like BeatStars.com.
Exactly. If you don't know what BeatStars is a digital music marketplace where musicians, both artists and producers, can get their music out. So if you're a producer and you want to sell your beats and you want to connect with other artists, BeatStars is the place to be. You can also sell your sound kits, have memberships for people to buy beats by the packs monthly. And if you're an artist, you can both buy those beats and you can also sell services of your own. So if you want to sell hooks, you can get on BeatStars and provide hooks for the producer community and make a living out of it. BeatStars, if you don't know, is very well known for a lot of different placements that went mainstream and went viral. The biggest case, or at least the oldest one, was Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. You also have CJ's Whoopty and even Soulja Boy's She Make It Clap, which completely went crazy on TikTok and such. So being BeatStars our sponsor, we are giving away 30 days for free for you to test out all of the features that they have. They have a bunch of marketing features, selling features, everything that you need. So go over to beatstars.com/sell-beats and use the coupon code checkpoint. So if you go over to them and you use the coupon code that we're providing, you'll get the first 30 days free. And if you don't like it, you can cancel it before they actually start charging the subscription. But we're very confident that you'll still want to hang around because it's been the home for our beats, Wherelse and I's, for years now, and the platform only keeps on getting better. So again, go over to beatstars.com/sell-beats and use the coupon code checkpoint. And yeah, but circling back, it is super automated because you set up everything on BeatStars. You have your store, you have your beats with the licensing, the prices, everything that you need. You can even set up a chatbot with automated responses that go to your Facebook Messenger. And basically, if you create enough responses that make sense, if the clients have any type of questions before they buy a beat, you don't even have to directly interact with them. You'll still have the report, I believe, of the conversation, but you yourself don't need to be present.
Yeah, that's super dope.
So yeah, it's really great that you can have your beats just on your website and you don't have to micromanage everything that's happening, and you can just disconnect your phone for the whole day, wake up and see 30 sales. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, that would be nice.
So yeah, I know one of the best feelings is waking up to sales notifications. I know a couple of times I had my phone with sound on during the night and I forgot. And BeatStars has this selling notification, which is basically a loud ass cha-ching. And that woke me up a couple of times. It was both the most terrifying and best feeling at the same time. Because I felt like something was about to go down, but then I realized it was me cashing in some
Hey, that sweet, sweet money.
Some money while you're sleeping. So yeah, the type of insomnia you want to have. But I don't know, man. That really is it for me. I feel like if we hold ourselves accountable and we're able to disconnect, because another thing that I notice is as social media started to become such a bigger presence and the content went kind of wild with what's considered viral and significant, so to say, I've ended up deviating my focus from like tutorials and stuff like that. So I'll still watch tutorials and videos that are educational, but I realize I'm not doing so in such a consistent manner as I was before. And it's weird.
Yeah. I can't even tell you the last time I looked at a tutorial.
And not even just tutorials, like even, let's say, Rhythm Roulette from Mass Appeal. It's a fire season. If you're even if you're not a producer, it's just fire to watch. And I used to be on top of that like every single day whenever it came out. And I haven't watched one of those in ages. And it's not because I don't like it, it's just because like I think that maybe I got to a point where I'm somewhat content with the content that I'm provided with, like at the palm of my hands, and I just don't go after that.
It's funny how that works. We always want to find the next new thing. Once something is dope that we find out about, we get hooked on it and binge watch all the seasons or episodes or whatever somebody creates. And then after we get accustomed with the content, we're like, I already know what to expect. So then you stop keeping up with it and then you're on to the next new thing, whatever that may be.
Yeah. But see, that's something that I feel like maybe it impacted me in the wrong way. Because with Rhythm Roulette, I learned a lot of sampling. Even though they weren't necessarily giving you a tutorial on it, you would just see like the amazing producers that would go on there and the way that they would flip the samples and all of that. I remember that Large Professor was probably one of my favorite ones. And the way he flipped the samples that he got was just amazing. And that on its own helped me creatively improve my sampling techniques. Nowadays, I haven't really seen much of sampling. Today I was on TikTok. I saw a guy sampling. It was pretty much the same concept on his own. He got 3 random records and he sampled one of them. And it got me somewhat hyped. Like I saw it and I heard the sample and I knew the sample. I remember that I had bookmarked that sample and I felt like I need to go back to sampling. And it gave me that craving.
Yeah, sampling is a good thing to do every once in a while. Get back into that mode of actually digging, virtual digging, because I ain't doing no physical digging.
Yeah.
But virtually going through it and finding stuff and finding ways to flip it and chop it up. Get into that sampling bag.
Sometimes I would like to physically dig.
Yeah, that would be awesome. To have like a vinyl record and a player and going through that whole process of finding samples in the crates and then putting it on there because you don't know exactly what you're going to get and trying to find a way to flip it, or you might find a gem, something beautiful.
Yeah.
That whole process would be dope for sure.
I had this conversation with a producer friend where I said it would be cool to just go and buy random records and see what it come out. And his reasoning was, yeah, but most of the times you'll probably just spend money and then not have much to sample. And it might be true, but I don't know. I feel like I would have a better experience than going on YouTube, finding samples. Because even though YouTube has everything, I feel like it has so much and you don't really have a place to start. Because unless you think, okay, I want something like Aretha Franklin, I'm going to go search for Aretha Franklin and see what's like suggested to or related to it. But if it's a record store and I want to just get random with it, I'll just choose.
That's hilarious though. We got technology at our fingertips, but being in a record store, you have that shit physically in front of you. So you can just choose whatever. But like you said, on YouTube, you have to specifically try to find a starting point to start from. And it's more complicated trying to find something you're looking for or just trying to start at all.
It's that argument of less is more, right?
Right, yeah.
So there's so much available that you become overwhelmed and you don't know where to start.
Yeah, right.
Bro, if it weren't for CDs, because a while back I got my car and my car didn't have, at the time it didn't have a Bluetooth player or anything. So I had to go and buy CDs for me to be able to listen to music in the car. And because of that, that's how I found Logic. Because I think I might have seen a couple of videos of his on YouTube pop up. But what actually got me into Logic was I saw the album Under Pressure and I saw the cover. It looked dope. The name wasn't unfamiliar to me. and I was just looking for new music to play on the car. And so I got it, and I played it first as soon as I got on the car. And I was hooked ever since. And obviously Logic blew up ever since. That was his debut album. And I would have sooner or later gotten into him. But that was the primary point of, if it weren't for that album, I wouldn't have gotten into Logic as soon as I did. And it was completely random. I just saw a dope CD cover. I was like, all right, let's get it.
All right, let's get it.
I didn't know him from Adam. He didn't have features. What I remember, the album doesn't have features. And I just played it in, and it immediately synced.
You fell in love.
Jesus, no.
Now you're his #1 fan.
Yeah.
Got Logic pictures in your bedroom.
Yeah, your typical stan.
Got his quotes on your desktop wallpaper.
Nah. But if this does get to Logic's ears, I'm down. I'm down to work.
Yeah, but that's dope though.
Bro, there was even a placement on. Damn, I forget the name of the album because I suck with names. But remember the album where he basically said that the next one was going to be the last one? So theoretically, that was the second to last album.
What was that, like 4 albums ago?
Yeah. He dropped the album, and I was like, damn, there's an actual Portuguese producer on that album. And as I was listening to the album, I was like, damn, I really I want to get to a point where I can get a placement with Logic. Not because of credits or anything, just because I love this guy so much, and I love his music so much that I just want to work with him. That's usually my mindset when it comes to placements. And then I realized that his final track basically just said, yo, the next one is going to be the last one.
Yeah, lies, all lies.
Bro, I'm glad it was lies, but my heart sank because I was at no point of getting a placement. In my mind, I felt like it's not going to happen. I still tried reaching out to his management. I tried making some contacts, but it never played out. And obviously, ever since, he's still releasing music, so there's still a chance. But, I don't know if you ever felt like you wanted to get a placement with someone specifically.
Oh, snap. Are we recording 2 episodes in one right now? This is a topic for another day.
Oh, shit.
This is too much content.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta save this for another topic.
We'll talk about this in a different one. All right, but yeah, I guess that's it for this week. Obviously, when it comes to mental health, burning out creatively, or even in general, and time management, there's a lot to pick up from. So we might revisit this topic in the future. If you're listening and you want to give your feedback, feel free to get back to us at Colab Gem on all social media, or email us, DM us, whatever you feel better with. Give us suggestions on topics. If you want us to go more in depth with this topic, also let us know. And yeah, it's been your host, The Plan Beats.
And Darrell Banks, baby.
Hell yeah. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next week.
Peace.